Today we're going to talk about how product managers are taking their product decisions and validate their ideas. As you guess, it's not by guessing, and it's not by debating, not by following options. It's by running experiments, running surveys, and learning a lot. So today's our session, it will be the environment like real PMs have on their daily jobs, and we will try to avoid building massive wrong stuff and validate well our ideas fast, easy, and prove what's work and try to scale that. So your today's session outcomes, so by the end of today's session, that I hope we will cover all these topics. I'll walk you through why product managers are running experiments, how to write a good hypothesis, how to validate your ideas and to use A/B testing at works, and actually how A/B test works. It just in a very simple way. What also you can validate with the surveys and what to do in case you don't have much audience, and how to test a few versions of feature in case you don't have a big development team and much time and you need to go and work with the prototypes, and how to choose between few versions if you are not 100% sure. And that's our reality, and what you see that we're always have a lot of options what to build, but there is proven statistics that from the best product managers and all their 100% of ideas, only 25% will succeed. All the rest, 75%, they will fail or actually get negative. So what's your job as a product manager? Just to be able to detect what works, and to scale that, and to reduce the waste, learn fast, and not to proceed with those options who failed. And you have a lot of instruments in here, and we will walk through all these basic tool set you will need to validate your ideas. So these will be experiments and surveys. Actually experiments, they're showing you what people do and how they're showing you by analytics, by events, by clicks, completing certain stages, abandoning some parts of your product, and so on and so on. So you actually see what your customer is doing inside your product, but you don't understand why. And surveys and interviews and all the customer research tools, they actually are able to explain you why they're doing that. They are explaining you about the perception, the clarity, the motivation, the intent of your customer, of your user. And as a product manager, you definitely need both of them, and you will be using both of them inside when you're practicing. And talking about usual product manager learning loop, it's very simplified, but still let's walk through it. You have an idea, you're not 100% sure about it, so you're building hypothesis and you want to test this hypothesis just to validate and to realize if it's working or no. So you're building prototype, you're running tests, you learn, then you improve, you're running A/B tests, you retest that, and that's the learning curve and the learning loop you always have, and that's how you iterate with a product. And that's your ideal product manager mindset, not idea, build, and cry, because I saw these 100,000 times that product managers have a huge teams and they're so inspired with their great idea and they believe in this so much, and they're working on it months. They release it and then nobody uses it. That's actually a failure, and you want to avoid that, and you want to build this with the little tiny steps, with the iterations, and scale it just when you're 100% sure that you're moving the right direction. And I have the analogy for my team that product manager is someone who is walking through the light, through the darkness, and have the team behind that. And you have this lighter inside your arm, and these are all your instruments. And you're just trying to light up the path to all your team and to all the stakeholders. So you definitely need all this tool set to be able to do that. Let's walk through how this is working. First, let's talk about the experiment. Yeah, why do we need experiments? Maybe anyone has like some experience with experiments. Let's talk about that. Have you ever run any experiments? Not yet. So why do we need these experiments? So we honestly never know what's working better. Yeah, for example, we have a landing page and I have an opinion that this button should be red. You have an opinion that this button should be yellow. How do we decide? Do we debate? Do we ask other like mentors? Probably not. We just setting up two versions and let's user decide. And we see by their actions how they act inside their app. Yeah, we measure the impact. We measure their like behavior inside the like app or product, and we see what actually user like prefers more. How can we do that? So A/B test, it's like pretty sophisticated product manager instrument. Yeah, when you have few options and you need to decide which performs better. Of course, there are lots of like best practices, how to run experiments to be able to learn more from that. And that usually begins when you are starting with a problem, you're defining the problem, then you're creating a few solutions around that problem. And if that problem is severe enough, probably one of the solutions will be working. What's the basic logic behind the A/B test? So you have the audience, and these are like all your users. And then you need to arrange the random split. What is the random split? So you need to split this audience to the like equal groups. And the equality of the groups is the main like indicator that your A/B test is working well. In case these groups are not like equal, the A/B test is not valid. So in case you have in group A just new users, in group B the like current existing users, this is not an A/B test. This would not like fit this checkbox that's about the equality of the groups. So they need to be randomizedly splitted and really equal. After that, we show to each group like one of the variants. Usually we call like a variant as a control, and usually we use that as a like the version of the product as it is right now. And usually for like all other versions, you're using letters like B, C, D, and like all this alphabetic naming, and you call them treatment. So you are like exposing your groups to different types of product, to different types of like options you designed before, and then you're like gathering analytics and comparing the data, and you're seeing at the dashboard how users are interacting, so equal users interacting with both of groups, and what are the difference. And usually for A/B tests you need to have a like set of metrics just to be able to define what works the best for you. So usually you're choosing one main metric, and this metric is usually showing you like does your A/B test like improve this main metrics, or it fails and the main metric is negative, or it's neutral. And also you have lots of other metrics you're measuring that are showing like other patterns around your how users are interacting with both variants. So these are like kind of guardrails metric and leading indicators that shows you that nothing else is going wrong inside the product, that you have this like healthy behavior and that doesn't really change. So A/B test is like an exciting niche, but it's a bit complicated. So behind the A/B test lays lots of statistics, and to be able to run A/B test, you need to like learn that statistic just to make sure that your understanding of experiments is right and you're like running everything properly. We're not like diving deep into a statistic of A/B tests today because it's like complicated, and it's for like few more lectures to talk about it. We'll just covering overall and building the overall impression about A/B tests. If you need to go deeper, I'll share additional resources that I feel are they're the best just to dive deeper into A/B testing. Before thinking about A/B tests, you definitely need to understand when it's better not to run them, because A/B tests it's a great tool and it definitely works for a lot of cases. but not for all of them. Let's walk us through the cases when A/B test is not the right tool. So in case you don't have a lot of users, let's try to answer the question why. In case you have like less than 1K users, you're not able actually to run A/B tests. So when you're running A/B tests, you need to gather the sample size for each group. And this sample size, this is the minimum required amount of people who need to interact with your A/B tests for each group to make this uplifting or decreasing of your main metric statistically significant. In case you have not a lot of users, just statistic behind A/B test is not working. We'll cover what to do if you are not able to use A/B test, but let's check all these checkboxes if A/B test is not the right tool. Also, you have the idea, it's at the pretty early stage, and you realize that you're not moving with this solution in general. You need to understand the main pivot, you need to understand the main direction, but actually you're not 100% sure that in a few months this is not changing. If this is gonna change, you better done an A/B test, and there are cheapest, fastest, easier way to define the right solution. If it's pretty early stage, don't waste your time. If you need fast insights right now, sometimes we just need to have the reply tomorrow. And to run A/B test, you need to gather the sample size. And usually, if you don't have millions of monthly active users and daily active users, this takes days, weeks, sometimes even months. So if you need fast decision, maybe less statistically significant, less trustworthy, you are using other instruments. You're using prototypes and surveys. So A/B tests, again, it's a great solution, and I'm challenging you to learn more about it and definitely practice it in your work. But in case it's early stage startup, you're just building your audience, maybe that's not the right tool right now, and you will need to learn that and to practice that a little bit later. Right now, let's talk about, maybe let's have some questions if we have them about A/B tests, because the topic is not easy at all. Maybe you have some experience with A/B testing or heard something about that. Reveal if anything is unclear, and let's try to understand how clear it is right now. So A/B tests, again, wonderful tools. Encourage you to use them. All top tech companies are using them, and this is the regular part of the product manager job, just to validate your ideas and scale. But when you don't have all that, we have prototypes and surveys. Let's talk about them. So before defining what solution works for you, you are building your hypothesis. So again, you have your ideas. Around your ideas, you're building your hypothesis. And I encourage you to use a simple prompt, how to build hypothesis, just to make it easier for you to validate them. Usually, hypothesis looks like, we believe that this change will lead to this impact, and then how we'll be able to measure that. And it's better to simplify it as much as you can, just to make sure everyone understands it the same way. And when you actually get the number, there is no misunderstanding about do we prove our hypothesis or no. How that can sound for example, if we make the CTA button bigger, more users will click on it. And how we'll measure that, the CTA click-through rate will increase. So it's pretty simple, and gives us clear understanding when our hypotheses are working or no, and able to test that. What are the main methods to validate your hypothesis? First of all, these are prototype testing. So you're not investing much into building actual products. You're trying to build MVP prototype and to test it with the real users. You can run surveys. You can run fake door tests. Fake door tests, these are types of tests when you are just trying to measure the interest of users. So you can add button, go to the next stage, and just measuring the click rate of that button. And actually, after clicking that button, customers not getting anything, and you're trying to explain them. So we're just measuring the potential interest of this feature, and it's coming soon. So you are not building all this entire flow after the clicking the button. You're just measuring, do my customers want to try I don't know, know, food delivery, something like that. You're trying to measure the interest. And actually, A/B tests we already talked about a little bit. If you're starting, if you don't have much users working in a startup, like your main instruments are prototype testing and surveys. In case you have more audience, have more mature analytics, you're using all these like instruments, and they're like your basic tools for day-to-day life. Let's talk about surveys. Anyone here like experience in running surveys, use this method in their career, their products? Not yet. Let's walk through them. So surveys, that's a great way to ask your customer about like their experience with your product, about their intentions. Like you can ask a lot. So you usually need to think about surveys that it's a small interaction with customers, shouldn't be like 25 pages, and customers are not willing to invest more than like 3 to 5 minutes into like filling that survey. In case they're like very motivated, maybe they can, but think about like being very, very concise and just asking the main. So you can ask like which design is clearer. Yeah, you can ask what version of like prototype they prepare more. You can ask like why they churned or why they dropped some funnel or what confuses them. Also, you can ask about like what motivates them and what stops them. You can also ask whether they like or don't like what you're building and the idea behind that. And usually customers are open to share their feedback, and they're happy that you asked. Surveys are great tools, and there are some rules about how to run surveys just to get the results that are not biased. So when you're running a survey, you try to build simply understandable questions and one question at one time. And you're trying to make sure that the customer or your user understands your question very, very well. So no like misinterpreting, misunderstanding, clear, simple questions. Try to make these questions really neutral, not trying to like bias them towards like do they like or don't like. So you don't ask them how do you like the new feature or what you doesn't like about the new feature. Yeah, you can ask the questions, but it's better first give them opportunity, to share their impression, what is their experience with this feature, not about like any undertones. Really keep it short, like 5 to 7 questions, not more. From our experience at Uklon, if it's like less than 3 questions, you really have a high percentage rate, like 70% are like willing to reply and finish the survey. In case it's more question, then the reply rate drops up to 50% and even less. Use the mixed rating and open questions just to give the opportunity for those customers who want to share their like feedback and share a little bit more to be able to do that. And you can always ask about what was confusing, just to give that space to share that. In case you're able to conduct the interview, I'm always finishing with something like if you're willing to participate in like 30 minutes interview, please leave your email and we will contact you, something like that. So you already have a lead, or you're able to reach out in case you want to dive deeper into their experience and what's actually stands behind their like experience with the product and how you see that with the analytics. The basic like survey template, if you're having like a few options like of prototypes and you're trying to give the opportunity to your customer to decide what they like better, which version do you prefer, why, what confuses you, how easily it was, how likely you're going to use that, and what would you change. Open questions that are helping you to gather their feedback and realize like which option works better. In usual like simple tools like Google Forms and Typeform, you are not able to share the prototype, and you definitely need to use some more sophisticated tools like Maze to be able to show the prototype and to give opportunity to customer to compare. In case you'll be talking to UX researcher, they are usually calling these types of surveys. In case you are like not participating, you're just sending out their feeling, it's like unmoderated quantity survey. And in case you're present with a customer and he is like with you choosing between the option, you're like asking questions, these are moderated like surveys. Again, surveys and interview interviews, these are great opportunity to ask your customer about their behavior, about their intents, about their like experience with the product. And usually you're getting lots of information for that. And these are invaluable sources of new ideas. Let's talk a little bit about prototype testing. Again, if you have a few ideas, you have a severe problem, you have few solutions, how to solve the problem, and you need to define what works the best, because definitely your opinion is biased and your team's opinion is biased because you're working on that. You need to ask your customers what they like the most and what is their experience, what's their perception of the product you're building. Prototypes give you that opportunity. So they're really fast, they're cheap, they don't need code, and they're perfect for beginners. And today we will try to build your first, probably maybe not first prototype, and just to play a little bit with that. Prototypes are great with the idea validation. In case you will ask me, like, can prototypes replace A/B testing? Definitely not. And here is like a, pyramid of trustworthiness. Prototype testing, user interviews, they don't have much statistical value and they have lower level of trustworthiness than A/B testing. So if you need to prove to your business that this particular feature increased this metric by X%, these are A/B tests. No prototype can do that. But in case you just need to decide what option to move forward with, what solution to move forward with, the prototype is fast and cheap and great tool to unlock for you this information and to make it clear. What design? Let's brainstorm a little bit. You should choose just one thing you can test with the prototypes. These are subscription pop-up like checkout, login, filters, or notification pop-ups. What would you choose and to test with the prototypes? You can pick any of these options. What do you think is the best product surface you can test with a prototype? And walk through how to compare two versions. You can ask which do users choose, why they choose this, what confuses them, what did they expect, and which versions feel easier. So in case, again, you have few options of prototypes, you build them, you don't know which works the better for your user. You have your personal opinion, but definitely it's biased because you have your own preferences. That you might call that a professional feeling. But I encourage you, don't trust that at the beginning, especially, and you can trust that after you run 500 experiments, and after that you have this strong muscle and you can detect what works, what not works for the first time. And before that, it's better to ask customer and to show them both of the options, give them, choose, ask why. Because these are really powerful questions and helping you to realize what's standing behind that choice and what confuses them. That's extremely important, information that helps you to unlock additional impact of your product in case you just reduce these confused factors. Maybe we have any questions about prototypes, about testing with prototypes, all your ideas, questions. Let's talk. Have everyone experienced, testing anything with the prototypes? How does it sound? Would you like to try? I recommend workflow for beginners. You have a problem, you find a problem. That should be really a severe problem, and business definitely would benefit from solving it, managing it. You're creating few solutions, prototyping them, then you're running surveys and you're creating the decision, and you're selecting one improved version, and then you can A/B test and test that on a more traffic and more users. That's just the basic workflow you will be following when you're working with a product. Let's walk through our practice today. So what do we have? In case we don't have much people, we can not split to the breakout rooms and just work together. Today we will be building our prototypes with Lovable. Lovable is great prototyping tool, but it handles prototyping perfectly as well. There are lots of other great tools right now in the market, but just let's stick to Lovable. It's pretty easy. We actually, I we can start with my prompt, and I encourage you to build the driver's registration landing page. But in case you have any other ideas, what can we like build today? So right now it's like your decision. Do you want to build, I don't know, registration landing page for, I don't know, clone drivers, or we can build something else? It should be something pretty easy, like landing page, maybe for your business. We can do it as well today because again, we don't have much people, and we can play a little bit more at the practice. Let's vote. In case you want to build landing page for our drivers at Uklon, show me your thumbs up. In case you have any other ideas, type it in chat. What's next? Any surprises for today? What was the main surprising thing that you experienced? Anything you want to share? For me, it was a surprise that we ran pretty the same scripts. Me and Marina got the totally different results with different UIs, colors, and so on. I never like run the same scripts, and that was fun. Probably need to play more with that. Sometimes it gives you like different versions. Again, I'm trying to be precise, so maybe next day, I don't know, the planets work better and the model works better, so maybe I'll get other results in case I need different options. Maybe sometimes you should play with that. So that definitely is a part, not my solution at my work, because my company stick to Figma and I don't have much opportunity to play with Lovable, so I don't have a paid version. I definitely prefer Lovable. I love it better, but all our design system is in Figma, so we stick to that tool. I don't have much choice. Again, Figma is a great tool as well. And honestly, sometimes I play with both just to realize what can be done better. It's like you're given the same task to different designers and they're competing. That's a fun exercise. Anything that was challenging today during like our exercises and during these activities that we walked through? Svetlana, do you want to share again your prototype and maybe once we can, I don't know, stay and to decide what can be done better, what was challenging for you, like when you were creating your prototype. So it was an exciting like lesson. Thank you so much for participating. Again, that was not easy, but hope you learned something and you will be able to create your prototypes and validate your ideas and hypotheses. Again, main takeaways. You should validate yearly because again, just trying to remind, 75% of your ideas, they will not work. Just validate as early as you can. Pick that 25% that are winning and be sure that you're like moving forward with within solution. Experiments, they can show us behavior, but you will never understand why. And to understand why, you definitely need to support your experiments with the surveys, with the interviews. And these are your tools to understand the psychology behind your customer better. Prototypes are super cool, easy, and fun to build solutions that can help you to validate your ideas quickly without much audience, without much like users. And I encourage you to learn fast and cheap because a good product manager is a product manager who has a lot of experience and validate, learn, and never stops. So I encourage you to continue learning. Thank you so much for today's lecture. Happy to answer all of your questions if you have them right now. In case no, you can text them to Sophia and I will write you a little video or a text reply, whatever format will work better. Hope you will build all your prototypes and will play a little bit, not just with the Uklon landing page because it's so fun. Practice it a little bit, maybe build a landing page for your hobby, for your dog or cat, for your beloved, I don't know, coffee shop, for whatever inspires you.